Hello everyone, and welcome to the video I finally get to make because the game is finally back up. So today we got a lot of things to talk about, so let's just roll the music and get right into this because honestly, this video is about 4.5 hours later than I was expecting it to. So first of all, let's talk about what the hell happened, because if you haven't noticed, the JP side has been down for 4.5 hours. Basically, as far as I can tell, the app update that was being added to the game to fix things and add things was somehow delayed on the Apple and iOS side. Now, honestly, I don't ever really know who's to blame with this, because one, this stuff is supposed to be submitted early to Apple and Google to, be approved and everything as far as I know, and I'm not an expert in this. But honestly, I don't know if it's excusable that Alum didn't get this ready in time, because it was definitely billed on the Twitter and everything as being an iOS app update problem, and as far as I know, the problem isn't fixed for iOS users, but Android and app users can be finally playing the game because it was taking so long. Alum was feeling really bad about it, as they should. The game should not have had this problem in the first place. I don't know who exactly is to blame, but long and short of it, I'm not terribly happy. That being said, looks like we're being gifted approximately 600 lapis, so small victories is really what I gotta say. So let's talk about what's going on this month. So that's the next thing on our list to talk about. This month, well, first of all, actually, should I talk about that first? There has been a slight change to the game that has been added into the app. First of all, you will notice that no longer do we have such a limit on our stamina potions. As you can see, the stamina cap has been slightly increased to 9,999. Now, this was apparently one of the only big changes that I can see in the app update, so okay. It is definitely nice. Now I can just continue to stockpile those till eternity, and then hopefully by the time I get close to the max of this, maybe we'll get another update to add, to allow even more. But it also should be talking about some extensions that will be happening. Apparently, because of this problem, the raid event, as well as maybe a couple other things, might get extended just because of the problems that were caused. So not really much else needs to be said about that. Okay, now we can continue. So first of all, let's talk about some minor stuff. There is the 1,000 Days campaign. Basically, Brave Exvius on the JP side has now been running for approximately 1,000 days. So we're going to get some free stuff out of it. First of all, we're going to get 3 free 11 pulls. So each one is available for certain dates, from the 1st to the 9th, then from the 10th to the 19th, and from the 20th to the 31st. Each of these time periods you will get 1 free 11 pull. Your results may vary from everyone else. Now, some good news for all of you people waiting for Cactar fusion events. Well, every weekend in July we will get a fusion rate. So that includes pretty much as of tomorrow. So you can start fusing all those Cactars to get ready for Axstar. And maybe the Final Fantasy IV event. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But this is really nice. It's about time that we got more fusion rates, and it shouldn't have to necessarily be a special thing anymore. But still, more fusion rates, the better. So take advantage of them in July. Also, we'll be seeing a half energy event, where basically, half energy from the 7th to the 8th will be for the story mode. From the 14th to the 16th will be for all, so basically everything. 21st to the 22nd will be 10-man trials or Chamber of Arms, and the 28th to the 29th will be half energy trials, so plan accordingly. Now, I don't believe there's anything else to talk about there, so let's also talk about the July rewards. Now, the July rewards, they're not bad this month. They're certainly not amazing compared to Global, but Global's having their anniversary, so honestly, we'll just take what we can get. So lots of 10s and 20s of everything, but there's a fair decent amount of lapis. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 300, 400, 500. Some summon ticket, a 4-star summon ticket. Maybe a little anxious there. And then we also have some trust moogles. So in general, July is not looking like it'll be a terrible month for login bonuses. Now let's move on to not that quite yet. I was hoping to talk about, yes, there it is. The item world will be back. Now this item world is, once again, all weapons. It lasts for 20 days, so, well, or close to 20 days. We'll start on the 1st of July at 5 p.m. However, there are some upgraded modifiers to know about. First of all, Knuckles will be getting a level 4 HP and attack plus 20%. This is really nice for anybody who has some nice fist weapons and has been looking for something for Faye. Axes will also get a 40% increase from now on, which is great. My CG Fire Veritas is going to love that once I get it on his weapon. Whips will get an MP plus 40%, which really doesn't help Whips all that much. Maces an HP plus 40%, which will be great for tanks. So in general, you know, some nice improvements to some different weapons. Not seeing the great swords, they're obviously holding that back. Alright, so I think I've talked a little bit about this before. Basically, we are going to be having the Final Fantasy IV story event. Mog King event. Definitely some kind of event. Now, there are some important details to note about this. Of course, there is our regular rewards for clearing different levels, the challenge mission, which will come later and give different nice bonuses. But it should be noted that this is a regular thing now, is our monthly free 5-star. Do 8 days with its special mission, and you will get 8 pieces, and when combined, they form a free rainbow. So definitely do that. Other than that, taking a look at the Mog King list, it looks like we are still getting 3 UOCs, which is rather nice. It looks like that will be a regular thing, so no complaints. Let's move on. Other than bonus units, let's talk about bonus units, because there's something big to note about this time, and that would specifically be that it's not just the new units that are giving bonuses, it's actually the old units too, as you can see. So, a 7-star Golbez and a 7-star Rubicant will give a 200%, a regular Golbez, gotta be really careful about that, a 5-star base Golbez will give 100%, same with Rubicant. Barbarissia and Cagnazo, I'm going to pronounce that name wrong probably, 75%, and Scarmagone will give 50%. However, Kid Rydia, Helmetless Kane, and even Dark Knight Cecil at 7-star will all give a 75%. Now, it's not a 200%, but to be fair, this is just a generally nice thing right now, considering a lot of people are saving for Axstar. So if you have these units, you can get a fairly nice bonus without having to do a whole bunch of new pulls. 50% for the 5-star versions of those guys, and 30% for Rosa as well as Yang, and all of the 3-star bases even give 10%. So this is just generally nice. There's no two ways to slice it. It's just a generally nice form of bonus. Now, equipment-wise, you know, there's some decent stuff. Nothing that really particularly stands out. But the TMR this month will be a beneficial one to get off the Mog King, which will be a 30% magic boost. So anyone who's looking for bonuses for mages, grab it. It's just good. We've already talked about the special ticket. And of course, maps will be returning, and maps are great for ranking up really quickly. So definitely get and use those maps. You can also get Trust Moogles and a whole bunch of other stuff. So that's really nice. Alright, so now we come to the main part of it, the units. So we're going to actually start at the bottom and work our way up. because I can. So, Skarmalagoon, Skarmaglian. We'll go with that. Basically, our 3 to 5 star unit. Now, his Trust Mastery is a 20% attack, 15% HP, and 20% Earth Resistance. Honestly, it might be okay. I don't think it's super great. It's nothing that fantastic, but you'll probably get at least one of this guys eventually. So, I mean, I guess you could trade him in for some trust coins. So that's not bad. Basically, all of his kit is kind of based around, you know, thunder magic as well as doing status effects. I don't think he'll be too terribly useful in the long run, so kind of just TM on fodder ranking. Next up is Cagnazo, and I'm going to pretend I said that right. Now this guy is an interesting little basic provoke tank. He's got some provoking abilities that also fills his limit burst. He has some skills that basically use his defense stat as an attack. Lots of different, he has some AoE buffs, he has some AoE water attacks, he has some buffs if he falls too low, he has ignoring a fatal hit. Honestly, if you're looking for a provoke tank, this is probably a good one to get your hands on for new players. Older players, you're probably not going to get too much out of it. But he does offer some provoke options, so that's pretty okay. Now his Trust Mastery, on the other hand, at 20% defense, 30% HP, 30% water resistance. This is actually just a really solid TMR if you're going up against Leviathan 3-star. This TMR gives, you know, tanks some nice water resistance, defense, and HP. So honestly, getting 1 or 2 of this guy is perfectly fine. Even though stat-wise, he's just nothing that impressive. Next up is Barbie, as the GL people have told me she is called. Barbie is, well, there's still some data parsing issues. Apparently we haven't quite figured out what her TM, well, I couldn't really see what her TM was before, and now it's just not working properly. But it seems like it gives, her TMR is kind of interesting. I'm going to wait to confirmation, but it does give some damage modifiers to specific abilities. Now, whether they are her abilities or whether they are just maybe Tornado. If it is Tornado, this TMR is fantastic. It's a 40% magic general stat increase and a couple damage modifiers too, so nothing to complain about. Other than that, she has some buffs for herself, some damage mitigation, some charm, some AoE wind and light resistance, dual blast black magic, which is great because she has Tornado, so that's super nice, and she has some interesting counters. Generally, she looks like she might be on par with the global 6-star version, considering that she's only a 4-star base here, but since our 4-star bases have been pretty strong recently, it doesn't seem that unreasonable that this is the outcome. Next up, we look at our first 5-star base, which is Rubicon. There's a fairly easy name to say. Now, his its Trust Mastery is 20%, or is a 20 magic, 30% magic accessory with an extra 30% to spirit and fire and ice resistance of 20%. Honestly, this accessory is amazing for mages. 30% magic with 20% stat, that's pretty nice. Getting your hands on one of these even would not necessarily be bad if you're running a team of mages. Super Trust Mastery wise, this thing is actually pretty friggin' nuts. 80% magic when equipped with a robe. Mages like robes! I like this thing. It also has a 30% fire resistance, so it's super nice. Now, Rubicon has dual black magic casting, has some healing AoE, has some, if used last turn, use a stronger attack, and, you know, self 80% ice resistance permanently, so it actually debuffs himself, which is okay. Cooldown abilities, basically debuff of fire resistance for 100% for 3 turns, gives himself 150% magic for the next 4 turns, enables triple casting of black magic for 3 turns, and enables access to one other ability. And his other cooldown is an AoE 2000% magic attack, ignoring 50% of spirit, giving him basically what Rubicon a full limit burst and access for 2 turns on to another ability, and that is on a 7-turn cooldown available turn 8. So late game, definitely late game. Passive-wise, lots of different magic, spirit, MP recovery, natural limit burst fill rate, some boosting of abilities, lots of magic passives, and some natural fire and ice resistance, which is really, really nice. So nothing super bad to complain about in Rubicon's kit. Rubicon also has a brand new spell, which is Meltdown, an AoE 1-hit 450% magic attack that also debuffs fire resistance 50% for 3 turns. Nothing really that great late in the game, but also not necessarily bad. I'm going to classify it as not necessarily bad. I'm not convinced that it is super great by any means, but yeah. Now, other than that, Limit Burst is an AoE 7-hit 2700% magic attack that debuffs fire resistance for 3 turns of 100%. Also has an unknown effect, so I'm going to have to wait and see what that is. But the ability that Rubicon unlocks is an AoE 900% magic attack that ignores 50% spirit and enables another attack after. So, or enables the same attack, so I guess you can just keep spamming that ability. Long story short, Rubicon is totally based on fire, but I think an absolutely amazing accessory. Now, passive-wise, there is someone I want to compare this to, and I just need to quickly bring this up, because it's not yet on... Now, normally when I do my stat comparisons, I'm comparing it on Reddit, but since I can't exactly see it on Reddit right now, I'm just going to take a look over on the database. So Ellie with pots and passives is a 766. Rubicon is a 756. So not a terrible high difference compared to some of the top magic damage dealers. We'll get good stats, but honestly, seems like Rubicon is too heavily based on fire to maybe be necessarily great, since even Rubicon's Limit Burst is a fire attack. Honestly, not super impressed with Rubicon, but might be very impressed with that TMR. So let's talk about the one that I'm really excited about, and the reason I'm super excited about this one is because Golbez bodes very well for re-released units, especially big, famous re-released units. Taking a look at, since we're just talking about it, with pots and passives, new Golbez can get to a 761 magic, which is only 5 points below Ellie, so comparatively, Golbez is going to be pretty strong. TMR is a 40% magic with 20% Esper stats. Stacking this might be really nice. I actually really love Golbez's TMR. It's a generally strong magic for just a regular TMR, but that extra 20% stats from Espers can really make a difference depending on which Esper, whether you're looking for Esper Spirit or just generally better rate. Now, Super Trust Mastery, this is where it gets kinda nuts, because this is a heavy armor that is a 45 defense plus 100 magic and resists darkness by 50%. This is a really strong armor. Now, obviously not all mages can equip this, but I gotta say, any mage that in the future that potentially could, that's the strongest piece of magic on an armor, period. Okay, so what do I like about Golbez's kit now? He has dual cast, he has some dark magic hits that debuff dark, he has some AoE debuffing for spirit, as well as AoE buffing for magic for 3 turns, which is nice. He's a bit of a team player on that front. He has some abilities that give him increased magic and some damage modifiers. He has, however, 4 elementals based on the 4 elemental fiends. Earth one, which is an AoE 1 hit at 550%. That has a 30% chance to cause a whole bunch of different status effects. A water attack that is like jet style chaining, which is an AoE 11 hit water magic that does a finishing hit of AoE 1 hit at 400%. Sorry, the 11 hits are at 50%, the final hit is at 400%. But also has a 60% chance to petrify, so this attack, considering it can be dual or triple casted by this guy, is going to be really annoying for teams not prepared in Arena. Really annoying. He has a wind spell that is an AoE 7 hit at 50%, and a finishing hit as 400%. If this is chaining with the CG Reagan 8 hits 6 frames, this has some real good potential. Also because it provides an AoE 15% damage reduction for 3 turns. A chaining ability that gives damage reduction is just nuts. It's just nuts. And speaking of which, his fire ability is 9 hits at 50%, then a finishing hit at 400%, that AoE heals for 2000 HP and 20 MP. Double casted, that's 4000 HP. Golbez can kind of act as a healer, providing the enemy's not fire resistant. He has a cooldown ability that is AoE minus 100% light and dark resistance for 3 turns, gives himself 150% boost for the next 3 turns, gives him triple cast, some modifiers, blah 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 blah. His other cooldown attack is an 1800% magic attack with ignoring 50% defense. That's just a super strong hit. He has an AoE 25% magic attack that ignores 50% spirit, and then an AoE 200% magic that ignores 50% spirit. So he's got a lot of different magic attack. He has natural increase of summon damage. He has dark resistance natural. He has lots of modifiers in his kit. He has MP recovery, more increased summon damage. As a matter of fact, he has 60%, which would be amazing if he had some of the could borrow any summoner. He could also dump as a summoner. He has sleep, silence, paralyze resistance. He has extra MP, limit burst fill rate up, modifiers, extra MP recovery in his 7-star, even some light resistance because he didn't have enough. Some of the elemental spells, flare, meteor, impact, and yeah, his limit burst maxed out 7 stars and AoE 1350% magic attack, ignoring 50% spirit. It also debuffs dark resistance by 100% for 3 turns and fills the limit gauge. Whew! Okay, so long story short, because I actually need to go do some streaming, what do I think of this banner? Well, honestly, I would have to say that this banner is a super strong banner in some aspects. Barbie and Cagnazio are definitely good for new accounts. Scarmagon is kind of whatever. Rubicon has a nice TMR for anybody who's running a mage team, basically, who hasn't gotten, you know, Rem's super TMR, or hell, it's just a nice TMR in general. Golbez's TMR is super nice for mages as well, but I have to say that Golbez is an absolutely awesome unit because of the flexibility in him and his chaining options. He can chain with a lot of different people, and he can do some nice AoE damage. He also has some really annoying status effects for Arena. He can also heal the party. He can also support somewhat the party. Okay, not the greatest, but any support is potentially good. He can debuff for some rather key elements. He has some natural nice, you know, build in his kit, and he has a high magic stat. Not to mention his super TMR is great. So I have to say, Golbez and Rubicon probably great for long-term players. Everything else possibly great for new players. And in general, do I think you should pull on this? If you have the extra resources and you want to give it a shot, you might as well. It's a Mog King, meaning that you will get, you know, you need your bonus units basically. But other than that, I don't think this is anything really that super or spectacular, considering that Axstar is the next banner. This is almost a pretty easy pass otherwise, but I have to say that you shouldn't underestimate Golbez. He has a really amazing solid kit that can pair with a lot of different units. So I gotta give it, Golbez probably a really strong one. And speaking of which, there's a step-up banner, and I'm going to cover this really quickly. Now there's the normal 25k 3 times step-up banner, 5k per run. First one gives you a 10% Trust Moogle. The second one gives you a guaranteed Barbie or Kagi. Third one gives you a guaranteed Rainbow that could be anything. Fifth step gives you a 10% ticket and a Rainbow rate 1.5 times. And the last step gives you a guaranteed Golbez or Rubicon. So basically decide if you want to do that. However, there's a second step up apparently. This time we're looking at an 11k step up, and it's a 1 go basically. Now what is this second step up? Well, it's an 11k step up, max 1. First step, 500 Lapis, 2 times the pull rates on Kid Rydia, Helmetless Kane, and Dark Knight Cecil. Step 2 is 1000 Lapis, 2 pulls, and 20 level 1 King Cactars, which, whatever, doesn't matter. Step 3, 15k Lapis, gives you 4 pulls at 5 times the rate of the 3 rainbows. Step 4, 3000 Lapis, 6 pulls with 30 level 1 Cactars. Honestly, they're not max Cactars, so I don't really care. And step 5, a 5k Lapis, that is a 10+1 guaranteed Kid Rydia, Helmetless Kane, or Dark Knight Cecil. Really up to you if you want to go for it. So, you got a 66% chance of getting something okay, but honestly, between the 2 step-ups, it's not really hard to pick the better one. This one is just better. For here, you're only guaranteed 1 rainbow. Here, you're guaranteed at least 2, and a 10% Trust Moogle and a 10% ticket might be more valuable even, for future banners, like Axstar. So it's up to you. Decide how you want to spend your resources. But I gotta say, Golbez turned out really amazing, and I'm hoping this is great news for the future units like God Kefka or Celeste or, a whole bunch of units that just need improvement. So that's all for now. I will see you all next time, and till then, have a good one, and probably the next major video I make will be some reviews of these new 5-star units. So take care, see you next time.